All right, let us get started. So again, this session is going to be covering optimization. What is optimization? Optimization is when you are using a differential equation or differentiation specifically عشان تحلون something which has either a maximum or a minimum. If you remember before from math 1, we used to have a graph of a function زين that is like this. Let's say a function f of x, and to find our maximum and minimum points زين, this is a minimum and this is a maximum. The way we used to find this is by finding the differentiation or f prime of x, and we equate it to 0. This way we can find the maximum or minimum. If you remember, this is from math 1. We used to do that a lot. This is exactly the same concept we're going to be applying today. ولكن الفرق الحين it's going to be applied for different type of problem solving, which we will look at now. But before even starting that, أهم شيء, you guys need to remember all your differentiation rules. All right. So let's see, what were the basic rules. أول شيء general rule. زين, general rule. If you have x to the power of n, زين, f of x is equal to x to the power of n, this will be f prime of x is going to be n times x to the power of n minus 1. Example, إذا عندنا x cubed, this will be يعني f of x is equal to x cubed. F prime of x is going to be 3x squared. This is the easiest one. بعدين عندنا الساين cosine. زين, sine x becomes cosine x. All right, and then we have cosine x اللي يصير minus sine x. زين, these are the things you need to remember. شنو بعد عندنا e of x exponential اللي هو e to the power of x. أسهل واحد, it stays exactly the same, becomes e to the power of x. ولكن إذا عندنا e to the power nx, زين, it was going to be where n is a constant, it's going to be n e to the power of x, which is the shortcut method, or you can do it through substitution. For example, then e to the power of 3x, differentiation ماله بيكون 3 e to the power of 3x. تمام? This is e to the power nx, it stays the same. تمام? What else is there? عندنا الquotient والproduct rules, if you remember those, اللي هو يقول لك y يعني or f of x, let's call it y. زين, y is equal to a function. زين, two functions multiplied by each other, u times v. زين, these are both a function of x, a function of x. These are all functions of x. y prime is going to be equal to u v prime plus u prime v, simply. زين, يعني هذا differentiation مال v times u differentiation مال u times v to find the full differentiation. هذا يسمونه product rule. This is just a quick recap. يعني المفروض you guys already are familiar with this from last semester. أعرف أكثركم ناسين كل شيء. زين, صار الميد سمستر بريك أو بلا صح السمستر بريك ومحيتوا كل شيء في الذاكرة, ولكن you're gonna need to remember these rules. Again, we have, let's say, another function which is u of x divided by v of x, which is the quotients. y prime هني, which is of x بعد يعني, y prime of x is going to be u prime v minus u v prime all over v squared. زين, this is another thing you need to remember. This is called the quotient rule. Quotient, أظني spelling مالي غلط بس who cares. Quotient rule, أهم شيء فهمت النقطة. alright, بعدين عندنا شنو بعد فيه ln اللي المفروض كنت أكتبها في الإكسبوننشال. If the y is equal to ln of x, y prime is simply equal to 1 over x. تمام. وإذا y is equal to هاي الشيء المهم لن ax معناته y prime is going to be equal to 1 over x. It does not A ما يأثر في الإيكويشن أبدا. فمعناته لو عندنا y is equal to ln 5x differentiation ماله y prime is going to be 1 over x simply. إنزين. This is another thing. شو بعدين عندنا الchain rule. الchain rule هو يمكن نستخدم function يكون عندنا it's easiest to explain this with an example. Chain rule إذا عندنا two specific functions. For example عندنا 5x minus 2 to the power of 5. زين. This is y equal to. هني بنستخدم chain rule. شو كان chain rule? We use u is equal to 5x minus 2. زين. 5x minus 2, this u, you're going to be substituting it داخل هني. So y is going to be equal to u to the power of 5. زين. Now we are going to find dy by du, which is going to be 5u to the power of 4. All right. And also we need to find here du by dx اللي هو 5. زين. We're just differentiating u. Remember the derivative of a constant is just 0. فالحين chain rule, what does it say? We wanted to find y prime, or in other words we needed to find dy by dx. صح? So it's going to be equal to du, or let's do it in order. It's going to be equal to dy by du or times L du by dx. زين. I'm going over this لأن this is what's important. This is where people will mess up في الامتحان. مو the optimization method. That one is easy. The optimization is easy. It's the application of differentiation. This is where people will make mistakes. So this is your chain rule. وبعدين بعد ما تحصلون الجواب بتعوضون. فمثلا هني انزين إذا نبغى نحل السؤال y, let me take it, put it up here. This is the chain rule. For y, dy by dx يساوي dy by du is 5u to the power of 4 times du by dx is 5. زين. الحين بنعوض هذا الu هالبارت back into u over here because we want it in x. ف dy by dx is equal to 5x minus 2 to the power of 4 times 5 بما معناه it's 25 into 5x minus 2 power 4. زين. So this is the chain rule, how to apply the chain rule. What else is there? Let's see. This is pretty much it. إذا عندنا acceleration زين. إذا كان عندنا acceleration تتذكرون we have x which is distance زين or displacement x of t يعني it's a function of t. عندنا v of t which is velocity, and then عندنا a of t which is acceleration. All right, these are all functions of t. If we differentiate we can go from one to the other. فمعناته if we differentiate x we'll go here يعني d by dt بنوصل هني, and then if we differentiate again we're gonna go d by dt, we're gonna go to acceleration بما معناه acceleration is equal to dv of t by dt, or it's equal to the second derivative of x by dt squared. زين. والvelocity is just equal to dx of t by dt يعني. All right, this is another thing you guys should remember. I am not sure الفورمولا sheet كيف بيكون وكيف بيعطونكم إياه بصراحة, so I am not 100% sure what's going to be on the formula sheet. Should have asked that question when I was sending the email. وبعدين اللي تكلمت عنه بعد don't forget the turning points. These are called turning points where you will find a minimum and the maximum by finding the differentiation of the function f of x in a graph. So this is the basic يعني quick refresher on differentiation. طبعا it's not everything. There's a lot more. لازم نفسكم يجو and تراجعون وتذكرون and all of that. So let's start into optimization itself. So what is optimization بشكل عام? So optimization الحين optimization is like I said, it's when we want to find a minimum or a maximum. زين using شنو؟ Using dy by dx or f prime of x by differentiation. All right? فمثال let's go with a simple example. Find the two positive. Let me just copy paste this here. Shall we solve it together? Before I move on, let me see if you guys have any questions. في أسئلة فوليوم في d by dx squared ثاني لازم نخليه. ما فهمت شو قصدك سجاد. d by dx squared. When it's usually d by dx squared بيكون d squared by dx squared معناته this just means you will do f double prime يعني you will derive or differentiate twice بس. زين في الماكسيموم والمينيموم اي اوكي كان السكند يعني كنا نسوي the first differentiation we used to find the maximum minimum. The second one احنا we were finding the curvature whether it was upwards or downwards. كذي كان. This was all it was. هذا I don't think it matters much in this case, but this is also a part of the second differentiation. It's not going to be used a lot in optimization هني, not that I know of, but if it is used in differentiation in general, I would just say revise the notes from last semester. They're very straightforward لنا. تمام? So again, back to the point. احنا الحين optimization, we're just simply trying to find the maximum or a minimum of any situation. فالسؤال يقول find two positive numbers whose sum is 300 and whose product is a maximum. شوفوا هذا هو. This is when you know you have to use optimization. It can't be maximum or minimum anywhere, or highest and lowest, or least, most. All of that is the same thing. So let's analyze this question one by one. Find two positive numbers. Let's call them x and y. زين. whose sum is 300 معناته plus. فمعناته x plus y is equal to 300. And whose product is a maximum. يعني let's say the product P is equal to X. زين product is a maximum let's call it P is equal to X times Y. حلو. So the way this will be done is أول شيء بنعوض إحنا حق ال Y. We have two equations, right? So إحنا هني هال Y we will solve for it. So solving for this equation, y is equal to 300 minus x. تمام? 300 minus x, and now we can use this y, and we're going to substitute it here in this equation. So p is going to be x times 300 minus x. 300 minus x. الحين, what did we want? We know that the product, this is going to be a maximum. Maximum, سيدة معناتها we have to differentiate the p by x and equate it to 0 and عشان نحصل الجواب. ف dp by dx, before doing that, let's simplify this. P is equal to x times 300, which is just, sorry بس لأن توني مدرس foundation, I'm thinking of foundation things. 300x minus x squared directly. زين. ف 300x minus x squared, this is our function. If we want to find dp by dx, we differentiate. 300x becomes 300, minus x squared becomes minus 2x. And this has to be equal to 0, and now we can find our x value. For 300 is equal to 2x. معناته x is equal to 300 over 2, which is 150. زين. Now that we found our 150, just like we used to solve simultaneous back in the day, بنعوض الحين في هالايكويشن اللي هني. زين. بنعوض هذا الاكس هالفاليو بنعوضه هناك. فالواي is equal to كم كان؟ 300 minus x. 300 minus شنو الاكس value؟ 150. فبنحصل ان الواي is equal to 150 as well. وهذا هو الجواب. Y is 150 and X is 150 when the product is a maximum of these two numbers. This is exactly how you will solve any optimization question. إنزين. Find two positive numbers. His product is 750. إنزين. هني كان البرودكت, the question we just solved, the product was what was the maximum. In this case, it's find two positive numbers. Again, let's call them X and Y, whose product is 750. So now they gave us X times Y is equal to 750, for which the sum of 1 and 10 times the other is a minimum. يعني the sum معناته we're going to be adding, all right, of one of them, let's say X, and 10 times the other, let's say 10 times Y, is a minimum. So this is equal to the sum. Let's call it S. And then, so S is equal to basically this. All right. S is equal to, the sum is equal to X plus 10Y. Now, again, when the minimum, where is the minimum? The minimum is at the sum. Because it's at the sum, we're talking about the sum, this is where we have to do our differentiation. But before that, let's solve for one of the, it doesn't matter if you're solving for X or for Y. Usually I like solving for Y عشان I just differentiate in terms of X. It makes things simpler. فبيكون Y is equal to 750 over X. صح ولا لا? We just divide by X. الحين بنعوض في الS equation. X plus 10 times 750 over X. نعوض عن Y, this equation over here. يعني this is what went here. All right. فالS is going to be equal to, if we simplify this, plus 7,500, X plus 7,500 over X. Now let's differentiate. لأن ds by dx needs to be equal to 0 for a maximum. إنزين. So let's find ds by dx. It's equal to, differentiation of x is just 1, plus 7,500 is just a constant. The differentiation of 1 over x is, يلا, what's the differentiation of 1 over x? أبغى في الشات أشوف جوابكم. يلا بسرعة, سريع 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 سريع. You guys should answer very quickly. 1 over x, what's the differentiation of it? That is exactly why I wanted you to answer very quickly, Mariam. ليش? This is not ln of x. No. ليش? The differentiation of ln of x is 1 over x. ف 1 over x, ترى سجاد الحين يسوي عمره فاهم، ترى سوى نفس الغلطة قبل أسبوع يمكن تدرسه. زين. 1 over x معناته it's 1 over x power، يعني هذا we can write it as if it's x power minus 1. صح؟ إذا طبقنا القانون بنضرب ب minus 1 وبنسوي minus 1. صح ولا لا؟ فit will become minus x minus 2 or 1 over يعني minus 1 over x squared. This is the differentiation of 1 over x. إنزين. The differentiation of ln x is going to give you 1 over x. مو بالعكس. تمام؟ So this is what I mean by make sure that you know your differentiation very well. لأن this is where mistakes happen. Everyone makes this mistake, by the way. I used to make this mistake a lot. بس I always, حتى يوم مرات أنسى, I try to remember the original rule. If I can do the original rule, معناته it is proper the way I did it. تمام? So this is going to be 7,500 times minus 1 over x squared. All right? اللي هو differentiation ماله. And we want this to be equal to 0. تمام? So it is going to be 1 minus 7,500 over x squared, which is equal to 0. we'll just take this to the other side. بيصير 7500 over x squared is equal to 1. معناته x squared is equal to 7500. زين. X is equal to, we're just taking square root both sides. بتكنسل. X is going to be equal to the square root of 7500, whatever the number is. زين. Now, this is to find x. Now we can find y from the equation. زين. يعني الحين بنعوض هذا هني. وين راح؟ بنعوض هذا هني in this equation. So y is equal to 750 over square root of 7500, which is, this is just our x value, and we can find y. All right, put it in the calculator, whichever number comes out, that's your answer. Tamam? So again, you notice the biggest mistake that people usually would make is in the differentiation process, not in the actual solving. The solving is very straightforward and very easy, and we'll keep doing some more problems. لما نفس ما انتم شو تقولون تطيح الربية. انزين. let's keep on solving. So let's see this question. Find the perimeter, find the dimensions of a rectangle. زين. فاحنا we need to find the dimensions of a rectangle. So first thing I'm going to do is draw a rectangle. زين. A rectangle. All right. And then a length والwidth. زين. Doesn't matter which you call length, which you call width. زين. With the area of 1000 meter squared. Okay. فعندنا الarea is equal to 1000 meter squared. What's the area of a rectangle? Length times width is equal to 1000 meters squared. So I write this instantly, and we should already know this. Whose perimeter is as small as possible. What is the perimeter of a rectangle? The perimeter of a rectangle is equal to 2 length plus 2 width. All right? And again, now you have to know which is the smallest possible part. فإحنا قاعدين نتكلم small for the perimeter. So the differentiation has to happen for the perimeter. So dp by dl or w, which we will see in a bit, is going to be equal to 0. But before we move on to that step, let us solve for this for either L or W, it doesn't matter. L is equal to 1000 over W. زين. Now we can substitute this L inside of here. فبيكون P is equal to 2 times L, which is 1000 over W, plus 2W. All right. Now we can find dP by dW to be equal to 0. معناته dP by dW is equal to 2000 1 over W, what was it? Minus 1 over W squared. زين. Plus 2W is just 2. And this has to be equal to 0. And now we can solve for this. For 2000 or minus 2000 over W squared plus 2 is equal to 0. معناته 2000 over W squared is equal to 2. W squared or 2W squared is equal to 2000. نقسم ب 2000 الصوبين W باثنين الصوبين قصدي يعني divide by 2 divide by 2 it's going to be 1000. معناته W, if we just take the square root of each side, is going to be equal to the square root of 1000. Now we're going to take this W, this value, وبنعوضه في هالequation here. زين. So this is going to be equal to يعني L is equal to 1000 over square root 1000. ونطلع الجواب L and W. So this is the dimensions of the rectangle that we needed to find, which is W and L, and we got them both. Any questions so far? ما يخص السمول في القسمة. السمول يخصه في الديفرنشيشن. السمول, when you say small, it doesn't matter if there is division or not. It does not matter at all. It depends on the system اللي عندكم إياه. يعني هني في حظمة لأن length width it will be like that. However, because هني عندنا البerimeter length times width, automatically we will be doing division. ولكن بشكل عام مو شرط يكون division لأنه small or large. لأن الحين لو كنا نقول large بتسوون the same exact step and it might be the exact same way again. تمام؟ it all depends on the given question. If this says small or maximum or whatever, small or smallest or largest, it's always going to be the same method to solve. All right. What else is there? Yes, that's it for this question. نشوف اللي بعده. زين. يعني هني مثلا alright السؤال بعد مرة it's talking about a rectangle. لكن هني it's talking about the area is as large as possible. الarea is as large as possible. alright. وقاعد يقول لنا إن perimeter is 100 meters. If لاحظت إن when they're giving you perimeter they're looking for the largest area, and when they're giving you area they're finding the smallest perimeter. This is usually how it would go, but don't get too confused by it. انتوا يوم تشوفون small أو تشوفون large معناته you are going to have to do the exact same method of differentiation to solve for your question. إنزين. Just to be clear with you guys, إنزين, before I continue this point, هنادي طرشت لي إيميل. Look, she says in a polynomial, long division of polynomials will be in the midterm. Limit or partial fractions are a part of the midterm. For week 1, I think they meant by يعني math 1 material is not going to be there. But limits, Taylor and Maclaurin series, differentiation, optimization, or integration area between curves, ومثل ما قلت centroids and volume of revolutions are not included. And then, I just wanted to clear this out as well very quickly before I continue. Now, where was I? Yeah. Now, find the dimensions of a rectangle with a perimeter of 100 meters. What is the perimeter? Perimeter is P equal to length plus 2 width, which is 100 meters. Then, area is equal to length times width, and we need to find the maximum here. Then, again, we're going to look at the first equation and we're going to solve for one of them. Let's solve for W this time. 2W is equal to 100 minus 2L. W is equal to 100 minus 2L divided by 2, which is equal to 50 minus L. All right. And now we can use this is equal to W. Now we can just substitute this W over into here. For area is equal to length times 50 minus L. Again, it doesn't matter if you're solving for L أو for W, كله نفس الشيء. إنزين في النهاية الجواب بيكون نفس الشيء. 50 minus L is the W, and this has to be, now we have to differentiate this, but before that let's simplify. So it's going to be 50L minus 50L minus L squared. All right. So A, we need to find not A, we need to find dA by dL to be equal to 0. So dA by dL is going to be 50 minus 2L, which is equal to 0. معناته 2L is equal to 50. Therefore, L is equal to 50 over 2, which is 25. الحين بنستخدم هذا ال L بنعوضه هني in this equation. So W is equal to 50 minus 25, which is equal to 25. So what did we find out? The smallest area or the largest area is when the rectangle is a square, لأن the width is equal to the length. All right, which actually makes sense. إنزين. Now we're going into the spicy problems, as I would like to call it. اللي يخصه إذا في cost. ليش لازم ألاحظ إن لازم يكونوا متشابهين جوا؟ مو لازم تلاحظ. It doesn't make a difference. بس بالمنطق يعني إذا أنت عندك الحين هو السؤال يقول لك عندك البارامتر زين، يعني انت عندك مثلا في البيت انت تبغى تخزن اشياء، اوكي، عندك غرفه تبغى تبنيها، انت البارامتر عندك اياه you know how much space you can put، بس انت تبغى الاريا يكون اكثر شيء، فتبغى تعرف كيف تبني، تبغى تبني كذي الغرفه، تبغى تبني طويل الغرفه كذي، كيف تبغى تبني؟ بتبني كمربع بالضبط، لان this you will be utilizing the most amount of area for that perimeter that you have available. تمام؟ فهذه هو الفكرة. That's the whole idea of it. يعني مو مهم في الامتحان، هو بس as a logical thing as a future engineer it's something to recognize بس. Now question 5 يقول لنا هني we are going to fence in a rectangular field. If we look at the field from above, the cost of the vertical sides are $10 per feet اللي هم هذيل السايدز vertical sides $10 per feet ومسمينهم Y. alright. و cost مال the bottom is 2 feet، فالبوتم هني 2 feet، والtop is 7 feet. زين، هذا this is a good question and reality how people should analyze things. If we have a total of $700 أكثر شيء عندنا يعني $700 التوتال السم كامل total is $700. Determine the dimensions of the field which will maximize the enclosed area. فنعرف ان الاريا is the maximum which is x times y لأن it's a rectangular field. زين، لأنه معطينا هذا x وهذا y. بس شنو we are going to look at this now الماكسيمم كوست ماله. احنا كيف بنطلع الماكسيمم كوست؟ when we are going to add the parameters up لا when we find the parameter, so the parameter is equal to $700 total times الفيت يعني. زين، فهو على حسب البارامتر اللي بيكون عندنا اياه. ف what is the parameter we have? We'll go back to the cost. What is the parameter that we have? We have a parameter of x 2x plus 2y. صح ولا لا؟ 2x plus 2y. This is the parameter that we have. ولكن الحين we need to consider cost لأن احنا هني ال x value is $2 per feet وهني ال x value is كم كان؟ $7 هذا مكتوب $7 per feet. فالبارامتر equation عندنا شوي بيختلف. ليش؟ لأنه we have to consider cost. زين؟ So this is $2 per feet. Okay? ال y it's the same, it's consistent. فبيكون it's the same, nothing will change. Alright? فالحين احنا we will look at the total cost. The total cost بيكون 700. Alright? 700 is the total cost. بيساوي شنو؟ بيساوي 10 ضرب y لأن this is our first y, we will multiply it by the cost زائد هذا بعد y 10 ضرب y زائد هذا الدايمنشن ماله it's x فاثنين ضرب x زائد هذا الدايمنشن ماله it's also x فسبعة ضرب x. This is what we are going to take as our formula instead of the parameter equation that we usually do. ليش؟ لأن احنا we're not talking about length في هالحالة، احنا we are talking about the cost. لأن y إنزين y is in feet صح ولا لا؟ ال y and the x are in feet. فإذا تضربه ب $10 over feet اللي هو $10 per feet، الفيت والفيت بيتكنسل. زين، الفيت والفيت بيتكنسل فبيكون عندنا بس الكوست ماله pure cost. فعندنا احنا التوتال كوست هني. Let me write this. This is total cost in dollars. انزين $10 تايم واي هني بيستوي عندنا الدولار، هني بيستوي عندنا ان دولار، هني بيستوي عندنا ان دولارز، وهني بيستوي عندنا ان دولارز. فالفكرة احنا yes y is the variable which is length، بس احنا طلعنا المعادلة كلها in dollars عشان we have the actual cost given instead of the specific parameter. احنا we need to find out the parameter eventually. انزين. So these are the two equations we have. We have a which is equal to x times y, which is very obvious, which we need the maximum of eventually. يعني هني this is what we'll find the maximum. And now we have this equation, which is another equation that relates x and y. So here in this equation, if we simplify it, this is going to be 20y plus 2 plus 7 is 9x. تمام? So الحين we need to solve for one of them, for either y or for either x, it doesn't matter. Let's solve for y. For 20y is equal to 9x minus 700. y, sorry, 20y is equal to 20y is going to be equal to 700 minus 9x. زين. ف y is going to be equal to 700 minus 9x divided by 20. Yeah, and that's it. And we found our equation for y. الحين نقدر نكتب equation مالنا مال area. Area is equal to x times y. بدال y بنعوض اللي هو x times 700 minus 9x over 20. يعني a is equal to 700x over 20 minus 9x squared over 20. تمام? So we found this area. What do we need to find? We need to find the differentiation of area dA by dx, which is equal to 0. So in this case, dA by dx is equal to 700 over 20 is just a constant. For x, the differentiation of x is 1, which is 700 over 20 times 1, which is just 700 over 20, minus 9x squared, 2 بنضربه فبيستوي 2 times 9x over 20. زين. And this all has to be equal to 0. For 700 over 20, this is all over 20, so I could just write it all together. Minus 18x is equal to 0. We could just multiply both sides by 20 to cancel the 20 at the bottom. So this will cancel. 700 minus 18x is equal to 0. 18x is equal to 700. x is equal to 700 over 18. الحين بناخذ احنا هذه بناخذه وبنحطه هني instead of x. وين راح الايكويشن؟ هني instead of x. زين. فعشان نطلع الy which is equal to 700 minus 9 times 700 over كم كان؟ over 18 all divided by 20. Is this clear what I did here? Again I will repeat عن الكوست هني. زين. ليش احنا طلعنا هالايكويشن؟ احنا we have the total cost given في السؤال. زين. الكوست will be dependent on each side. ايش كثر فيت اخذ من كل سايد. فالكوست الكامل بيساوي البارامتر هني times the cost per feet. لان البارامتر is in feet. هذه كلها ال y وال x is all units of feet. فاذا عندك انت يعني مترين انزين يقول لك المترين بدولار، انت بتشوف كم يعني هني مترين، هني 3 امتار، هني مترين، هني 4 امتار، هني ما ادري شو، وبتضربهم في الدولار value of each one عشان تحصل المجموع كامل اللي بتدفعه. alright? That is the whole idea over here. That's why. So هني ضربنا 10 حق هذا the first side. بعدين ضربنا ب10 for the second side of y and y لأن this distance is equal which is y. These two distances are also equal but at different costs. فهني بيكون عندنا 2x هني بيكون عندنا 7x لأن بنضرب الكوست by x plus الكوست by x هني. That's pretty much it. and that will cost يعني هذا بيساوي التوتال cost اللي عندنا إياه, and then we solve as we did earlier. تمام. Let's do a few more before I go into the volume part. Let's do this one. زين. هني يقول let x and y be positive numbers such that x plus 2y is equal to 50. زين, عندنا الحين one equation, and x plus 1 times y plus 2 is the maximum. Let's call this يعني I don't know f. زين, f whatever, just call it f as a function يعني. زين, f, and this is our maximum. All right, so we could simplify f, or before even simplifying f خلنا نطلع من هذا a solution. يعني let's solve for one of them. ف 2y is equal to 50 minus x. y is going to be equal to 50 minus x divided by 2. نعوض هذا ال y هني. So f of x, or just f زين, is equal to x plus 1 times 50 minus x over 2 plus 2. Remember, this is just going in for y. زين. الحين we can just simplify this. X plus 1 times 50 over 2 minus x over 2 plus 2. زين. 2 plus 50 over 2 is simply just going to be 54 over 2 minus x over 2. الحين we can easily distribute, فبيكون 54x over 2 plus أو minus لأن plus x minus هني فيصير minus x squared over 2. x times x is x squared. بعدين ال 1 plus 54 over 2 minus x over 2. Let's simplify this. This is going to be a minus x squared over 2. 54x over 2 minus x over 2 is going to be 53x over 2 plus 54 over 2. This is our f. احنا شو نبغى؟ نبغى df by dx, which is equal to 0. So df by dx is going to be equal to minus x squared over 2 becomes minus 2x over 2 plus 53 over 2 plus 0. The 54 over 2 goes away, and this should all equal to 0. لو تلاحظون هني بعد ال x's will cancel, ال 2's will cancel, sorry, فبيكون بس عندنا minus x. فminus x is equal to minus 53 over 2. We can just cancel the minuses. X is equal to 53 over 2. تمام؟ بنستخدم هذا ال x value, بنرد نعوضه بال y هني. فال y will be equal to 50 minus شو كان 53 over 2 over 2, and you will solve direct. تمام. Noor, what was not clear about this? لأنه we solved this the exact same way we did earlier. الالجبرا part is not clear, or يعني الفكرة not clear, عشان I know what to focus on. إنزين. إنزين. If we go back to the question, السؤال يقول x plus 1 times y plus 2 is a maximum. زين, معطينا formula. They gave us a full equation. Usually in other questions, what do they say? They say the area is large. فإحنا, because we already know what area is, we just write it as A. زين, we write the area as A. هني they didn't give us any specific form, any specific يعني standard form of a rectangle or something. عطونا a direct formula. So we just named this formula any function. يعني احنا عطيناه بس اسم. يعني we could say A is equal to x plus 1 y plus 2. بس we just gave it a name, and then we solved the exact same way we were solving this entire time. تمام؟ فهذه هي الفكرة. يعني احنا بس عطيناه مسمى زين عشان we can solve it in terms of when we are differentiating and all of that. That's it. يعني you can call this whatever you want. This function, you can call it whatever you want. عادة احنا we say area is equal to x times y صح ولا لا؟ بس هني we don't have area or we don't have anything, so I just gave it a name, a random name. That's the only reason we put f. And then we just solved normally like anything. هني ال f is equal to x plus 1 and y plus 2. How did I find the f? The f is given in the question. It's just x plus 1 and y plus 2. Again, هني we were given this formula, which is x plus 2, or this equation I should say, x plus 2y is equal to 50. تمام? From this equation, we managed to find x in terms of y. زين وعوضنا ال y in the equation of the formula initially, the f, which is given here. This equation over here. زين this is just this equation. It's the same equation. Allahumma, I just gave it a name. يعني all I did was I gave it the name f. That's it. يعني you can solve it without naming it f. It's just I used f to just make it simpler. بعدين I just substituted this in here. 50 minus x over 2 plus 2. يعني 50 minus x goes instead of the y. Plus 2. And then I just simplified. I used basic algebra to simplify it. I split this into two parts. 50 over 2 minus x over 2 plus 2. بعدين 50 over 2 plus 2. 2. For you guys who don't know, 2 is the same as saying 4 over 2. So I just added this to the 50. So it became 54 over 2 minus x over 2. بعدين وزعنا. We did distribution. Distribution. And we simplified this. After the simplification, we came out with f, this function, this final function over here. And then we did the differentiation for the function and solved as we usually do. All right. Let's see. شكلنا اليوم ما بنخلص integration. I want to focus more on optimization شوي. I want to do more problems than بعد. So we will take a 5 minutes break until 11:05. Okay. زين بنسوي I will see. يعني هو المفروض صح الانتجريشن should be super easy. It's even easier than optimization. ولكن أنا I want to review integration with you guys as a concept مو بس هذا. I will try to start and finish integration بعد بس I want to do a few more optimization questions today. خاصة الحين we will go into volume يعني 3x3 shapes. But let us take a 5 minute break عشان أشرب لي ماي شوي صوت أريحه. So we'll be back at 11:05 p.m. تمام. Anyone has any questions? Noor, did you get the concept? فهمتي أنا شو سويت ولا بعده؟ All right, perfect. All right, let us continue. Then, in this case, we have a volume. We're talking about volume and we're not talking about just area. So we have three given values. And then a length, a width, والheight. All right. But in this case, it's already mentioning that 2W هني W فمعناته length is equal to twice the width. زين. Let's read the question. A rectangular storage container, زين, rectangular storage container with an open top has a volume of 10 meters cubed. So we know that the volume is equal to 10 meters cubed, and we know volume is length times width times height. صح ولا لا? The length of its base is twice the width. So we already know that L is equal to 2W. So we can substitute this already here and simplify this. So the volume is going to be 10 meters cubed, which is 2W times H. Or in other words, we can say 2W squared H is equal to 10 meters cubed. All right. The material of the base costs $10. إنزين the material of the base is $10 اللي هو الأخضر هني. This is $10. The material for this. And the materials for the sides is $6. For these sides, each side of them, 1, 2, 3, and the rear side 4. These are all $10 for each of them. Find the cost for the cheapest container. Now, معناته شنو؟ These sides, this base, زين. Let's write an equation for each one. The base, these are all areas that we are talking about. If we start with the base at the bottom, زين, the bottom base, زين, the area of it, AB, I'll call it, is equal to what? 2W times W. صح? We just multiply this with this. زين? So it's equal to 2W squared. And the area of the remaining parts, the side, area S, is equal to, we have two different sides. We have the right and left sides, and we have the front and back sides. The front and back sides is going to be 2W times the height. زين? So area of side, let's call it side 1, S1, is 2W times the height. And the area of side 2 is equal to W, which is this side over here. زين? Let me change the color so you can see it. This side over here. 1 second. These sides, the ones are on the side over here. وهاي السايد الثاني اللي هني. These are 2W times height. زين? So it is W area of side 2 is equal to W times height. These are the equations for all the areas that we know. And we have a cost for each one. We know that this is $10. And we know these two are $6. صح ولا لا? $10. Yes, the base is $10 and the area of the sides is $6. All right? Now, how can we start solving this? First of all, where's our main equation? This is the volume equation that we have. This is the already given equation. Yani we're not going to do differentiation here. We're going to have to do differentiation down here when it comes to the bottom base and the sides for each one. All right. So we're going to have to multiply by the cost to determine the area of each one. So the total area total cost is going to be equal to the cost of the base is the area, which is 2W squared, times $10. Then, plus the area of the side 1, we have 2 of each of these sides, so we have to multiply each by 2. ليش؟ لأن لو تلاحظون هني we have an area on the right and we have an area on the left, and here we have an area at the back and we have an area in the front. The base we only have one area which is at the bottom. فبيكون عندنا for the first one 2 times 2WH times كم؟ $6 plus 2 times WH times $6. insane. So this is the cost of the total area. We're just looking at the cost of the total area. لأنه we're trying to find the minimum what? We are trying to find the minimum cost. We're looking at cost. We're not looking at the smallest area. We're looking at the cost of the cheapest container. So we are looking for a minimum in the cost. That's why I am finding the cost minimum. insane. That's why I'm not trying to just find the area, the total area. I'm trying to find the cost. And each area has a specific cost. That's why we are going to write them separately and multiply it by the cost of each. We can simplify this equation now. So area total cost is 2 times 10 is just 20 W squared plus 2 times 2 is 4 times 6 is 24 WH plus 2 times 6 is 12 WH. And then we can simplify this to be 20 W squared plus 24 plus 12 is 36 WH. And then so we have 36 WH, but what else? We already have this equation from before, from the volume. And then this equation الحين, we can use it to determine either H by itself or W by itself. It doesn't matter which one. You could just choose one and solve for it. Let's solve for H then. So H is going to be equal to 10 over 2W squared. بما معناه H is equal to 5 over W squared. والحين بنعوض احنا هال H into the area equation up here. زين, the cost of area. So now AT cost is going to be equal to 20W squared plus 36W times 5 over W squared. We can simplify this one more time. 20W squared plus 36W, and W squared will become 36 times 5. Let's first simplify. 36 times 5. 36 times 5 is 180. W over W squared is just going to be 180 over W. All right. And now we have 1W up, 2W down. So it will become 180 over W. And this is our AT cost. Now, what do we want? We want D of AT cost by dW to be equal to 0. In other words, dA cost, and then D total cost, over dW, which is equal to, let's differentiate. The first one is 2 times 20, which is 40W, plus 180 times minus 1 over W squared. Tamam? And this has to be equal to 0. Let's simplify. So 40W plus 180, actually this becomes minus 180 over W squared is equal to 0. All right. There are so many ways you can simplify this even more. So what I would usually do is I just take them to the other side. So become 40W is equal to 180 over W squared. Multiply both sides by W squared to cancel out the W squared. فبيستوي 40 W cubed, and W times W squared is W cubed, is equal to 180 because these two will cancel. But W cubed is equal to W cubed is equal to 180 divided by 40, which implies W is going to be equal to the cube root of 180 divided by 40. How did we get this? We just do the cube root of both sides to cancel the cube. زين. For W is going to be equal to, let's actually find out how much this is, 180 over 40. بيكون 1.65 تقريبا in meters length لأن the volume was given in meters cubed. So we know that this is in meters. So now that we found our W, we can find everything else. But what does the question say? We need to find the cost for the cheapest container. So we don't even need to find all the other dimensions. We just need to find the cost. What was the equation for cost? This is the equation for cost. This is the equation we determined for cost in terms of just W. All right. And we can الحين substitute this W value that we found into the W over here. For A total cost is going to be equal to 20 times 1.65 squared plus 180 over 1.65. And then, so A total cost, the cost of the total area is going to be 20 times 1.65 squared plus 180 over 1.65. يطلع لي total cost is $163.54. All right. So this is the cheapest possible cost that you can have with the dimensions or the volume that is given. Okay. Is this point clear? بدي أقول لو أعطاني أسعار يعني لازم واحدة من المعادلات تكون cost. تقدر تقول كذي. نعم سجاد. Most probably if they give you the costs معناته there has to be a cost equation in between. يعني I cannot imagine an example where cost is given and you cannot. Yeah, you will have to, if cost is given, 99% chance you're going to have to find the cost equation. يعني you will have to multiply the dimension by the costs to solve. All right. It's very easy. It looks like a lot of work. لأن it takes a lot of calculations. But as you see, it is not يعني completely difficult. It's just basic math. أهم شيء تفهمون الكونسبت مال cost times each area. يعني هني يقول material of the base costs this much per square meter. This is how you know that we are talking about area. This is talking about per square meter. هني بعد per square meter. This means that this is area. Okay. That's why we are finding the area and we know we're going to multiply the cost by the areas that we are going to find. تمام. See what else is there. في وايد أسئلة they're all very similar. ممكن تشرح المسألة مرة ثانية. إنزين. I will go over this one more time. إنزين لأن I think this is one of the most important questions تفهمونه. إذا عرفتوا تحلون هذا بتقدرون تحلون تقريبا anything else. If you guys have any other specific optimization one you want me to go over, please let me know now. لأن there are a lot of different ones, but they are very similar in terms of solving. يعني nothing is going to be out of the ordinary مقارنة لهذا. أنا personally إذا أنا كنت أستاذ I would put a question like this. زين I would put a question like this. أول شيء قول شلون نعرف إن جوابنا صح نتأكد. Simple. You're gonna find your W. زين when you find your W you're gonna find your H. When you find your H, substitute it in the original equation that you find here, this one, اللي هو الvolume. اتأكدوا ان 2 times W times W times H بيساوي 10 meters cubed. If it's not equal to 10 meters cubed, معناته you did something wrong in your solution. So you can always double check your answer with the very first equation that you get, the given equation بما معناه. زين. Let me just do a quick recap again here of what we did. السؤال يقول a rectangular storage container with an open top has a volume of 10 meters cubed. معناته we know that the volume is 10 meters, so length times width times height is 10 meters cubed. The length of its base is twice the width. يعني the length is equal to 2 times the W. So we're going to just substitute the L for 2W, and then we're going to find the new equation, which is 2W times H for the volume. And بما معناه if we simplify it, 2W squared H is equal to 10 meters cubed. All right. Now, The material of the base costs $10. معناتها the base here costs 10, and the sides cost $6 each, and we have 4 sides. All right. So find the cost of the cheapest container. معناتها this is our minimum. We need to find cost, and we need to differentiate a cost equation. All right. This is how you will know. سجاد انت كنت تسأل مكتوب find the cost. إذا مكتوب شيء cost اعرف إنه most probably you will have to do differentiation most probably for the cost. Most probably. ليش؟ لأن هني مكتوب cheapest container. So we know that we are going to find something relative to cost, and we have to do differentiation. We have our main equation, our main relation. زين. Now we have to look at areas of each one. لأن it's saying the square meter $10 per square meter هني and $6 per square meter. So we need to determine the area of each of these, the base and the sides. We look at the bottom base أول شيء. It is 2W times W. زين 2W times W, which is 2W squared, and this costs $10. The first side, the blue side here highlighted in blue, this is the area of this is 2W times H, لأن this is height times width. زين. So it's going to be 2W times H, and then the red side is going to be W times H for the area of this side. These both cost the same. However, we have 2 of each side, and then it's 2 red lines here, and then 2 blue lines. Then we have 4 total sides. So we're going to have to multiply these areas by 2 when we're coming to the calculation part. And then, so instead of actually writing it like this, I should be writing it over here. And we are multiplying by 2, and we are multiplying here by 2. We have 2 sides. That's why. And then this is why we're multiplying by 2. We have 2 sides. So then when we come to the cost, all right, now we need to figure out the cost of each one. So the area total cost, why are we finding the cost equation? لأن we are trying to find the cheapest container. So we need to find the cost of the containers, not the actual area. فبيكون عندنا first البوتtom base انزين اللي هو 2W squared الاريا ماله وبنضربها في الكوست that it is, which is 10. Then we have the two sides 1, which is 2 times 2WH, which is the area, times the $6 cost of it, plus 2 times WH, which is the second two sides area, times the cost of it. We simplify this entire equation. Then we can use the original equation we found from the volume over here, اللي هو 2W squared H equal to 10 meter cube, and solve for either W or H, whichever, it doesn't matter. And then when you solve for H in terms of W, it will be 5 over W squared. You will substitute it back into the cost equation. The reason we do this is so that the cost equation at the end will only have one variable, and you can differentiate in that variable. فبيكون بس في W هني. ف 20W squared plus 36WH, where H is equal to 5 over W squared. We simplify the equation. Now that it's in the simplest form, we can find the derivative of it, or we can differentiate it, yani. And it has to be a maximum or a cheapest in this case, so it has to be equal to 0. Once we equate the equation to 0, we differentiate this and equate it to 0. We can solve for W and find the final width. We can do the same with the height and زين. يعني we can find the height as well from this. But the question is not asking for the height. The question is asking for the cost of the cheapest container. So what you're going to do is you're going to just substitute this into the equation of the cost that you have already derived earlier on and find the total area cost. That's basically how you would do it. I hope optimization is clear بشكل عام. Like I said, I kind of want to finish different integration بعد اليوم. If you guys feel like you're comfortable with optimization, you don't want me to do more questions, I can move on to integration, so that لأن integration it won't take too long. It's very straightforward. Well, لأن I want tomorrow or the next session inshallah عشان I start solving the past exam and going on from there. So any more questions about optimization بشكل عام? Let us see what the integration part is. It's area between curves. Okay. So let us start with integration عيال in that case. عندك سؤال عن optimization يعني؟ انزين, let me actually start with integration, and integration will take a few minutes. It's super duper easy. I'm too weak. 6-7, and I'm guessing it's both. If you guys remember integration, انزين, integration is usually in this form of f of x dx, انزين, from a limit from a to b. This is what we call integration. You could consider this as the opposite of differentiation. زين. Again, my recommendation إذا أنتم مو وايد زينين في differentiation والintegration, refer back to the math 1 videos I did last semester, and I went through detail for everything. For anything we did in differentiation, you're going to do the opposite in integration almost. For let's see if you, I want to test you guys and see how good your integration skills are. What is the integration of 1 over x dx? طبعا, okay, let's, you know what, before that, let's start with an easy one. What is the integration of x squared dx? Yalla, I want an answer from you guys. I want to know if you guys are good with integration. X cubed over 3. غلط. ليش؟ لأن there is a plus c. There is a constant. زين. Remember, there is always going to be a constant, but you are right. زين مريم, it's x cubed over 3 plus c, because this is an indefinite integral. When it's a definite integral, إذا عندكم من 1 to 3, for example, of x squared dx, this is going to be x cubed over 3 from 1 to 3. What does that mean? معناته إن بتسوون 3 cubed over 3 minus 1 cubed over 3. All right, this is how you can solve a definite integral. This 1 is this 1, and this 3 over here is this 3. This is how you would solve an indefinite or a definite integral. All right. This is very important, and most of the time here you're going to be solving a definite integral, not an indefinite one. But the actual integration is the same exact answer. It's just the way of applying a limit. Now, integration of 1 over x. يلا. Integration of 1 over x dx. من عنده جواب? There you go. It is ln x plus c. How can you remember this? Remember, integration is x to the power, any basic integration is x power n, and then to integrate this, you're going to do n plus 1 of x divided by n plus 1. All right? This is what the integration of x to the power n is. You just have to do n plus 1, n plus 1. ففي حالة 1 over x, it is x power minus 1. If you do plus 1, this will become 0. So it's going to be minus 1 plus 1. Minus 1 plus 1 is 0. يعني x to the power of 0 over 0. You cannot divide by 0, so this is wrong. So you have to automatically remember, no, okay, this has to be ln x then. عشان ما تخربطون. It's 1 over x. The integration of it is ln x plus c. All right. إنزين, what is the integration of sine x dx? يلا, welcome سريعين. What's the integration of sine x dx? Come on, it's easy. Exactly. It is minus cosine of x plus c. All right. Minus cosine. All right. One point here I want to mention, if they are giving you integration from pi over 2 مثلا to pi of sine x dx, which is going to be minus cosine x from pi over 2 till pi. Make sure calculator in radians. Okay? Make sure your calculator is in radians when you are seeing pi and pi over 2 and all of that. This is a very important thing. ولا العلامة كلها بتروح على الcalculator being in degrees. When we are dealing with pi, most of the time when we're dealing with integration أصلا, your calculator should be in radians لأن usually the limits are from pi over 2 to pi. أنا بنصح تحولونه لراديانز من بداية الامتحان. يعني change it to radians because I believe in you guys are only going to get these questions and they're always going to be in radians. They're very rarely they're going to give you degrees for limits. It's most of the time, if not all of the time, it is in radians. Tamam? So that's pretty much it. For this, if I wanted to just solve it, it'd become minus cosine of pi minus cosine of pi over 2. زين؟ ليش عندنا double minus؟ لأن this is الباي اللي هني. This is the pi, and this pi over 2 is this pi over 2. And the equation, there has to be a minus in between them. This is coming from the rule of integration. And this minus is simply just the minus from the actual cosine. So this is another mistake a lot of people will make, is they will mess up their signs and their they will not get it correctly because of the signs. So if we simplify this, it's going to be minus cosine pi plus cosine pi over 2. All right, and then you can find your answer. Tamam. So make sure when you are doing integration with limits, make sure you know your minuses and do not make any mistakes. And every time I have a question, يعني for example, let's say integration from 1 to 5 of 3x 4. Now let's make it simple just so I can explain the concept. 3x squared. All right. This is going to be dx طبعا. This is going to be 3x cubed over 3 from 1 to 5, or simply this is going to be x cubed from 1 to 5. How I will write this is أنا بكتب هني first bracket بحط minus بحط second bracket. Instantly this is how I would start solving. And then I will write whatever's inside. بفتح small bracket حق ال x. So it's going to be 5, which is this 5. زين cubed minus بعد مرة نفس الشيء هني. I'm going to open a small bracket for the x, which is 1, this one over here, cubed. All right. This is how I would usually take those steps in solving. Obviously, this is a simple one. When it gets more complicated, بيكون عندكم a longer equation هني, but you will not make a mistake with the signs and all of that. تمام؟ لأن مثلا لو if this was minus 3, هني بيكون minus 3, هني بيكون minus x cubed, this will be minus and this will be minus as well. All right? You will not make any mistakes with the signs in this way. Now to go to the topic of today. Area between curves. زين. Let us say we have this this function that goes like this. يروح من هني ينزل بعدين يروح كذي. All right? Oops. كامل المحل. بعدين كذي. For example, we have this function. زين. أنا بقول I want you to find the area between the shaded parts. يعني between the marked parts. Let's say this is 2 and let's say this is 5. زين. I want the area of the shaded part under the curve, which is this. This is my shaded part, okay? Let's give this function a name, just let's call it f of x for now, عشان to explain the concept. Okay? This is our y, this is our x. فعندنا احنا 2 to 5. زين? And then let's say this is 3 and this point is 4. تمام? Now, احنا what we will do, we're going to split anything above the x-axis and look at it separately, and anything below the x-axis we'll look at separately. إنزين فهني we are going to look at the top. The top part is positive always, and the bottom part of the x-axis is negative. تمام? So this is negative and the above is positive. تمام? This is how you are going to find the area. To find the area, you have to integrate between 2 and 5. However, you are going to integrate from 2. Yani the integration for the first part is going to be from 2 to 3, and it's going to be plus. It's positive, and it's above the x-axis of f of x dx, whatever the function is. بعدين بتسوون minus لأن this part over here is negative. When in negative, it starts from 3 and ends at 4. So from 3 to 4 of f of x dx, it's the same integration, the same function. يعني the integration will be the same, only the limits are changing. بعدين again, from 4 to 5 is plus. So from 4 to 5 of f of x dx. And that's it. This is it. This is the actual final answer of any curve that you might see that might be given. This is how you will have to solve it. Anything that is under, you are going to subtract. Anything that is above, you are going to add in the case of a single function. زين؟ مثال. Let us say, and then at the same curve, like this. زين? And we have a sinusoidal wave. This is the curve of sin x. زين? This is sin x. F of x is sine equal to sin x. Let me write it down here. F of x equal sine of x. تمام? So it's going to be between 1, this is 1, and minus 1. Okay? هني بيكون pi over 2 هني. This is pi, I believe. This is 2 pi, yes. And this is 3 pi. Okay? And this is 0. Again, I'm going to tell you, find the area of the shaded part, or find the area between 0 and 3 pi of sine x. So you're going to look at this. You're going to look at this. And you are going to look at the bottom part اللي هني. Okay? I said find the area between 0, يعني this limit, and this limit over here, اللي هو 0 and 3 pi. زين? So we know that we're going to have to start from 0 and end at 3 pi eventually. تمام? Now, we know this is positive, this is positive, and this is negative. زين? So we are going to write the function plus from 0 to pi of sine x dx minus from 0 to from pi to 2 pi of sine x dx, and then again plus from 2 pi to 3 pi of sine x dx. And then we're going to have to solve each integral alone. فبيكون أول شيء, we know the integration of sine x dx is minus cosine of x from 0 to pi, right? So minus cosine of x from 0 to pi minus cosine of x. Then this minus is this minus over here, okay? This is that minus. The other minus is from the integration itself of sine x dx from pi to 2 pi plus again minus cosine x from 2 pi to 3 pi. And then you will simplify this. تكتبون minus cosine x اللي هو minus cosine زين minus cosine of x, which is pi. This is the first part, minus the second part, which is minus cosine of pi of 0, sorry. هذا أول part. بعدين بيكون عندكم minus ثاني part. See where you can make mistakes is here. Minus cosine of x, which what is x in this case now? It is 2 pi. زين minus, and close this, minus cosine of pi. يعني شوف ايش كثر minuses عندنا. This is where you'll make the mistake. The concept is super straightforward, but when you are solving it, you have to make sure you are doing it step by step and doing it one from inside to the outside, working it out. وآخر واحد بيكون plus minus cosine of 3 pi minus cosine of 2 pi. And then you can solve this and get your final answer directly. تمام? And this is it. This is pretty much it, how you solve this. Just give me 1 second, 2 seconds, I'll be back. Just 1 second. All right, sorry about that. So this is how you would solve it. زين? Now this is the first part of integration. The second part of integration is if you have two different curves. يعني إذا أعطاكم سؤال مثلا, let me just copy paste the question from the slides عشان I can explain it on that specifically. For example, this question over here. زين? يقول لكم, no, this is just one function, sorry. Let me find this one. Yeah. This is the case of when you have two curves and you need to find the area in between. زين? make it as large as I can. Okay. الحين they're saying this is your shaded area. All right? It's shown clearly where your shaded area is, but it is between two curves. يعني until you have the curve yx squared plus 1. This is y is equal to x squared plus 1. زين, which is this red curve over here. I'm going to try my best to draw it as neatly as I can. زين, and then you have the straight line, which is y is equal to 7 minus x, which is the straight line over here. تمام? الحين, if you want to find the area of this, and then you're always going to do the integration of the up, whatever is at the top, minus the integration of the bottom. Why is that? لأن الحين, if I want to redraw these two curves, I'm going to redraw them separately. All right? How did they look like? هني. If I'm going to draw them separately, this was the blue straight line. Okay? And this is the, how was it? Parabolic? Yes, parabolic. This is the parabolic line. زين? If we are trying to find the area from -3 to 2. ليش؟ لأن this is their intersection point. This is where they're intersecting. So let's say we're trying to find the area from here, which is -3, and here, which is 2. فإحنا we're trying to find this area. Okay? In this case. And here we are going to find from -3 again till 2 which is هني. All right, so if we integrate just this part, we're going to find this entire area over here. تمام. So this is what we're going to do if we're just integrating 1. ولكن احنا when we are combining these two, you're going to notice ان في overlapping. وين قاعد يصير overlapping? In between both of them. يعني الحين if I let go of this, you're going to notice that the actual shaded area that we want is just the blue part. All right, it's just the blue part. Okay, that is what we are actually looking for, not this dark part at the bottom. احنا نبغى بس الblue part اللي فوق. For what do we need to do? We need to remove the bottom part. هذا البارت we need to remove all of it. يعني this, we need to remove this part, this bottom part, and we want to keep only the blue part. So what are we going to do? We're going to take the integration of the y, the straight line, the blue, minus the integration of the one at the bottom, which is the y, which is red. This is what we are trying to do عشان we're going to find this shaded area. لأن الحين ال yx squared زين, this is the common part مالهم من هني هاي كامل. This is common between the blue and the red. This is the dark part at the bottom that we saw earlier as well. هذا البارت كامل is this shaded part over here in orange. زين, we want to remove that part. احنا نبغى نشيل هالبارت. زين, we don't want to look at it. We only want to look at ال shaded area. So the simple way to do this is always just integrate from -3 to 2 of y, which is 7 minus x, the blue part, the up part, the one that is up, then minus down. Very simply. That's how you're always going to do it. Just make sure, I'm going to explain also one more thing, but let me finish this one. So it's going to be minus the integration. This is obviously dx minus the integration from -3 to 2 of شو كان equation? X squared plus 1. And then you solve, you integrate, you solve normally, and you move on. However, this works in some cases. In some other cases, you might have multiple different shapes. Like sometimes it goes up and down between two curves. So here we just do up minus down. We're going to follow the same exact concept for other examples as well. Let's look at this example over here. Then here we have 3 lines. Then we have y is equal to 4 minus x, which is the straight line over here. Then عندنا y is equal to 3x, which is this straight line over here. وعندنا y is equal to x over 3, which is this straight line over here. Then, and they want you to find the area in between all of these 3, اللي هو this area over here, shaded area. All right? فأنتوا again, you will apply the exact same method اللي هو up minus down, but you're going to have to do it partially. لأن هني it is being enclosed by multiple different lines. فبنشوف أول شيء من الزيرو لين ال1. لو تلاحظون هني التوب بارت شنو يكون؟ التوب بارت is the red line صح؟ فبيكون الريد التوب هني minus الجرين حق from 0 to 1. All right, let me write it at the bottom actually. هني. So from 0 to 1 it's red minus green. لأن what's at the top? Red is at the top و green is at the bottom. بس بعدها after 1 red is no longer at the top, blue is at the top, but green is still at the bottom. تمام؟ ف بتكتبون هني red minus green plus blue minus green. All right, this is how you will break it up. Again, I'm gonna بعيدة الشيدد اريا البدائي اول واحد بيكون الشيدد اريا اللي تحت الاحمر فقط لين هني لين until this line. Until this line, this shaded area, this red shaded area is only between green and red. Blue has no effect on this part. But this other shaded area, it's not between red and green anymore. It's between blue and green. زين? So you're going to be looking at the blue and the green in this area. And you're going to obviously use the limits that you have. فهني it says from 0 to 1. 0 till 1, you're going to do red minus green. بعدين from 1 until 3, you're going to do blue minus green. تمام? This is the whole concept I am trying to say, and you're going to obviously add them up together later on. So this is going to be over here, and you're going to be adding these two together. And that's it. So if I want to solve this, and then red, what's our red function? It is y is equal to 3x. So integration of 3x from where? From 0 to 1 dx minus green, which is the integration from 0 to 1 of green. Green is x over 3 dx. تمام? Plus الحين البلو, integration of blue from where? From 1 to 3, لأن it starts from 1 until 3, where it is at the top. For 4 minus x dx minus, again, the green from 1 to 3, x over 3 dx. Now, one thing you can note in integration, and then هني you can do it this way. يعني if you want to do the algebra, r minus b, r minus g plus b minus g, the integration will work out the same exact way as the algebra, اللي هو بما معناه تقدرون هاي تكتبونه كأنه لأن the limits. زين, let me explain it this way. هني عندنا limit from 0 to 1 وبعدين 1 to 3. زين, for the green part تقدرون تكتبونه بس مرة واحدة from 0 to 3. Why? Because it's continuous. يعني تقدرون بدل ما تكتبونه twice minus 0 1 و minus 1 over 3 1 to 3 تكتبونه بس مرة واحدة from 0 to 3. I do not advise you to do it this way لأن وايد ناس ممكن يخربطون. But sometimes it might not be the case where they're both minus. Sometimes the green can be at the top. So I will not advise doing it that way. Just solve it in this manner and then you can get your final answer. And this is all of integration. Any questions? الجاد اليوم شوي متحمس في الشات, نشوف شو مطرش. Y high minus Y low. Yeah, basically, exactly. زين. سؤال optimization. خلينا نشوف السؤال اللي طرشته. بس before that, is integration very clear? ما حد عنده أي أسئلة. This is it. خلاص خلصنا all the content for the midterm. Now, inshallah, the next session we will go over شو يسمونه المidterm, الpast midterm. All right. والأمور بتكون كلها طيبة يعني. بس again, you guys need to practice your own differentiation and your own integration to make sure you guys know how to differentiate and integrate. Let me just look at this question, inshallah. وبنختمها هني. Let me just make it a bit cleaner. زين. So this question is an optimization question. We have a piece of cardboard that is 50 centimeter by 20 centimeter. What does that give us? It gives us the area. الاريا اهو 50 the total area عندنا اياه تمام. بس what do we need? We are going to cut out the corners and fold up the sides to form a box. Determine the height that will give the maximum volume. فأول شيء we know we want a volume to be maximum. So volume is going to be the max. هاي أول شيء. ثاني شيء we know we are going to make cuts on this شو اسمه this part زين we are going to make cuts on it. يعني هني معطينا 50 centimeters. This is 50 centimeters and this is 20 centimeters and they want us to cut out the corners of this box. تمام? But they want us to make it a cut in such a way that the height of the box will give the maximum volume. فمعناته الهايت هذا هني this h is going to give us the maximum volume. Now when we are cutting a piece of cardboard when we are cutting هني this height is equal to this height over here. This is our height. تمام? And remember that the height is going to be equal from all sides. يعني these are basically squares. تمام? In this case لأن we are going to lift them all up. For this height هني زين this is coming from the cut which is هني which we're gonna remove. لأن هذا وهذا بعدين بتوصلونهم في بعض. Same thing. This is all h. This is all equal to h. This is the first thing you can notice. زين? So this is the height, the value that we need to determine eventually. Now the volume of this box is going to be and then an h height. Let me redraw the box here or just let me cut it and make it larger a bit. And then so this is the box that we have. And then هني this height. This is h. And then هني length والwidth. زين which is going to be what? It's not going to be 20. It's going to be 20 minus. We are cutting h from this side. We are cutting h and we're cutting h from that side. So it's going to be 20 minus 2h. And this side is going to be 50. Same idea. We are cutting h from here and we are going to cut h from here. So it is going to be 50 minus 2h. Tamam? Now that we have all of this, we can determine the volume equation. What's the volume equation? Volume is equal to h, length times width times height. صح ولا لا? This is our length, this is our width, and our height, let's keep it as blue. This h is blue. So length, which is 50 minus 2h, times width, which is 20 minus 2h, times height. Hello? And what did we want maximum? We wanted V maximum. So we already solved the question. خلصنا. So this is V. We are going to just distribute everything. So 50 times 20, which is 5 times 2 is 10, 1000. So 1000. So 1000. 50 times minus 2 is minus 100h. Minus 2h times 20 is minus 40h. Minus 2h times minus 2h is plus 4h squared. And all of this is going to be multiplied by h again. So V is going to be equal to, I'm just going to, 50 times 20 is 1000. 50 times 20. 5 times 2 is 10. Add 2 zeros. It's 1000. And then, not 50 times 2, it's 50 times 20. Again, I'm going to distribute الحين h. I'm just going to reorder it from highest to lowest. Before even distributing the h, let's simplify what's inside the brackets. فعندنا 4h squared minus 100h minus 40h is minus 140h plus 1000 times h. So V is equal to 4h cubed minus 140h plus 1000. الحين we want maximum. So dV by dH equal 0. بما معناه dV by dH is equal to 4 times 3, which is 12h squared, minus 140, and it has to be equal to 0. 12h squared is equal to 140. H squared is equal to 140 over 12. H is equal to the square root of 140 over 12. And now we're just doing the square root of both sides here to cancel the square root. For H is going to be equal to square root of 140 divided by 12. Easy ولا مو easy? The most important concept هني, is it meters? Was it in meters? Centimeters. It was C. Make sure you are given the right units. هني معطينا الunits centimeter. ف هني بيكون سنتيمتر. Oh صح أنا غلطان. 1 second. You're right. I just realized my mistakes. The H I had to distribute it to everything. I forgot. فبيستوي 4h squared times 1000h. صح. So again, same thing. Doesn't change much. The dV by dH is 12h squared minus 140 times 2, 280 h plus 1000 equal 0. Mod 5.3, we have a quadratic equation. For H is going, A is equal to 12, B is equal to minus 280, and C is equal to 1000. So H1 is going to give you a number, H2 is going to give you a negative number, or the opposite way around, or you will reject it. Let's just do it really quickly. Mod 5.3, 12 minus 280, 1000. For H1 or is equal to 18.93 meters, centimeters. Again, make sure you are using the same units that you started with. معطينا everything in centimeters, so we're solving in centimeters. And H2 is going to be equal to, it's also positive, 4.401. Now, can someone tell me why we got two different values? أبغى أشوف عشان نختمها خلاص. This is the last question and I'm going to end the video here. The session here, sorry. ليش عندنا two different values for H? They are both positive, so they are both acceptable values. لأن we can either find the maximum height, إنزين, the maximum height, or the minimum height. على حسب. فاحنا نحصل هني both minimum, which is H2 الأصغر, الرقم الأصغر, والmaximum is the highest one. So the question is asking for what? It will give the maximum volume. For the maximum volume is when the height is at a maximum. So H1 will be the accepted value. تمام? Not only that actually, لأنه we're talking about volume, إذا عوضنا اثنيناتهم, they're both going to give the maximum volume. لأنه he's not talking about the maximum height of the box. He's only talking about the maximum volume. So both of these H values are correct. Both of them are going to give you the maximum volume. And I was talking about if he was asking for a maximum or a minimum height. But he was not asking for that. He was only asking for the maximum value. So both of these answers are going to be correct. تمام؟ يعني إذا قصينا هالقد أو قصينا هالقد is going to give us the maximum volume. Is it clear? سجاد فهمت السؤال؟ أنت اللي سألته. مرات quadratic can have two solutions and one of them is rejected if it's a negative number. Sometimes it happens. إيه في الامتحان المفروض يعطوكم جوابين كذي. تقولون H1 and H2 are both the answers. نعم. لا, both are correct answers. لأن هني they did not determine if it's a maximum height or a minimum height. They only spoke about the maximum volume. لأن لو تفكرون فيها, لو قصينا إحنا cardboard box كذي بهالحجم, إنزين, أو إذا هذا cardboard box إحنا we didn't consider this to be the height, we considered this to be the height. يعني قصيناه وطلع لنا cardboard box كذي. نفس dimensions, everything is exactly the same dimensions. However, we are considering a different height. إنزين, يعني هذا الكاردبورد box مو بكذي actually it's gonna be a bit longer. It's gonna be something like this. This is your cardboard box. زين قصيناه كذي أو كذي. In this case this is our height. It's either this height that we are talking about اللي هو هني or this height. فهمت علي؟ That's why you have two answers. لأن you can cut it, it's gonna have the exact same volume. بس على حسب يعني طبيعة القصة how high you will be able to close it up. How much you will be cutting. تمام؟ This is the whole idea. سامحونا اليوم شوي طول